Every decade in popular music has their decade-defining stars. In spite of the huge Y2K nostalgia wave sweeping through pop culture right now, the 2000s decade has a bit of a mixed reception musically. But I don't think anyone would deny that the 2000s had some great danceable songs in all genres. While the 2000s is more closely associated with the rise of some of music's most defining megastars, there were many lightning in a bottle acts that set the charts ablaze during the decade. Before the rise and dominance of acts like Katy, Gaga, and Taylor within the late 2000s, there was an easily identifiable lineup of women who dropped blockbuster albums during the mid-2000s that resulted in some of the decade's most towering hits. Nelly Furtado, Gwen Stefani, and Fergie all shared various commonalities with their breakthrough and career-defining albums. Even though their end product and music was drastically different, and with the inclusion of personal woes that led each of them to gradually pull away from the spotlight in the following years, something about them being grouped together feels official in a way that many other pop culture linkings do not. Their commercial breakthroughs came out around the same time, within a 2-year span of each other. The music was often eclectic, touching on various different styles and also allowing the hip-hop and R&B influence to shine in the music. And they all eventually shied away from the music spotlight as the 2010s emerged. They are somewhat of a definitive trinity for their time period. Gwen Stefani would be the first of the trio to release her album. Many critics have stated that it actually set the template for Fergie and Nelly's albums, and there definitely are blatant parallels between all three records, but they still all have very distinctive offerings. What makes Gwen's debut a bit more prolific is that it was her big breakaway from 90s ska band No Doubt, who experienced success with hits like Don't Speak and Just a Girl, and their landmark 1995 Diamond album Tragic Kingdom. After the group took their very first hiatus in the early 2000s, Gwen would embark on her solo venture, and it wasn't necessarily met with the lauding fanfare you'd expect from a band member that is newly divorced from their group, because her solo work was much more animated, over the top, and popular than her work with No Doubt. She inevitably faced selling out accusations, and she even doubted herself about her solo record, because she was dealing with writer's block and felt intimidated by working with people outside of her group. Nonetheless, love.angel.music.baby was released in 2004, fronted by singles such as Hollaback Girl, Cool, and Luxurious, all singles exemplifying very different styles and themes, and they are a showcase of sonic diversity that can be traced back into the album as a whole. There's not really two songs that sound exactly the same. Hollaback Girl's Gwen's signature hit, and only #1 hit on the US Billboard charts. It's a cheerleader chant backed by some stomping 80s hip-hop production, with an unforgettable cartoonish bridge that spells out bananas letter by letter. It is a well-known diss track aimed at Courtney Love, and has production handled by the Neptunes. It's Gwen's whimsical approach to her music that would make her both a pop phenomenon and receiver of skepticism. But Hollaback Girl continues to hold up pretty well. Cool is a new wave song that recalls the earlier work of Cyndi Lauper and Madonna, initially intended for group TLC and Christina Aguilera. It's a song that was changed to fit the personal life of Gwen. It's a great song, but it's a song that feels even more complete with the inclusion of the music video, which tells the story of the lyrics. Cool is something a bit closer to Gwen Stefani's roots. Luxurious, on the other hand, is a sleek R&B song about enjoying the glamorous life after working hard. The song is built around an Isley Brothers sample. Clearly, each single appealed to different formats and demographics, and aside from some of the dated and ill-dropped references to the Harajuku girls, which she can literally name drop in the middle of the song, even if it makes no sense in the context of the song. The album remains a mostly enjoyable, versatile, and diverse album that takes some truly outlandish pop risks. It's the type of whimsicality that was rare for 2000s pop, and would only be built upon by another blonde that came after Gwen in the latter half of the 2000s decade, Lady Gaga. love.angel.music.baby also has fingerprints from some of music's biggest and most remarkable names, such as the Neptunes, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Andre 3000, and Dr. Dre, amongst others. It's certainly a unique effort that was both subtly and obviously influential on following 2000s releases. Loose was released in 2006, a few years after love.angel.music.baby, and similarly to Gwen, Nelly Furtado faced accusations of selling out. Her first few albums were an embrace of pop, trip hop, world, and folk music. More than anything, Luz felt like a complete change in image, from earthy girl next door to fun, unapologetic party girl. It's kind of funny that in some instances, such as Rihanna, this type of transformation was praised, but for Nelly, it was seen as something illegitimate, simply to gain star power. Her critics during this time directly implied that being a fun pop star isn't as valuable as being the more self-serious girl next door. But if Luz is considered selling out, who cares? It should be the bar for selling out. When selling out is this good, how can anyone complain? It's the best album of her career, and worlds better than her first two records. The production of the album was primarily overseen by Timbaland and Danja, and where Luz succeeds where will.i.am and the Dutchess doesn't, is that it's completely cohesive while retaining its sonic diversity, thanks to Nelly working with a single production team. Timbaland and Danja managed to combine elements of hip-hop, dance, and Middle Eastern music with dark electropop, while Nelly co-penned the stickiest hits of her career. Songs like Promiscuous and Say It Right are some of the most edge-cutting and distinctive pop hits of their time period. They have everything you could ask for in the tier of pop excellence. It's no wonder this album and era remains Nelly's most successful. Great pop singles, and just like will.i.am, its embrace of R&B and hip-hop and catering to multiple formats was noted by critics. Comparable to Gwen, the Dutchess would serve as Fergie's solo debut album, coming off the hype of a hugely successful group. In Fergie's case, she was the frontwoman of pop supergroup the Black Eyed Peas. Released in 2006, it is the most single-centered album of the lineup, meaning there's no common thread between any of the songs. There's not exactly any grand or alluring thematic choices or sonic risks. It's a pretty straightforward collection of radio singles. The Dutchess's parallels to love.angel.music.baby were instantly noted. London Bridge had immediate comparisons to Hollaback Girl, with a strikingly similar marching band light instrumental and a plainly similar schoolgirl chant delivery. It's easy to see why these two songs were compared. Furthermore, Fergie's foray into R&B and thematic choices for Glamorous were instantly compared to Gwen's Luxurious, even with a similar music video and an ethnic entourage. Big Girls Don't Cry can be likened to Cool, the big emotional slow ballad of the album. Speaking of the similarities to love.angel.music.baby, Fergie is quoted saying, "This is all so ridiculous. The Peas and I make music we love, and for others to speculate is their problem." The Dutchess was a bit of a masterclass in pop marketing, because it too made a single and song to appeal to every radio format and demographic. The silly self-referential song Fergalicious is also a notable addition of its era. Fergie and Nelly Furtado also allegedly threw shade at each other. There's a line in Fergalicious rumored to be a diss at Nelly, and a response to her hit song, Promiscuous. Fergalicious, so delicious, but I ain't promiscuous, and if he was suspicious, all that shit is fictitious. Nelly is rumored to respond in the song Give In To Me, alongside Justin Timberlake and Timbaland, where they all collectively go at their critics. Armilla say come if you don't know why, I'm fly. I seen you try to switch it up, but girl, you ain't that dope. I'm the Wonder Woman, let me go get my rope. She then says, love my ass and my abs in the video called Promiscuous. My style is ridiculous. In 2007, Fergie did a remix of the Daddy Yankee song, Impacto, which is rumored to be yet another response. I'm Fergalicious, brothers wanna get a taste, but they know I ain't promiscuous, the realest chick up in this. But ladies don't know the real from the fake. You got a problem? Come and say it to my face. You got a problem? Come and say it in my face. Fergie Ferg make an impact, I'ma pull your wig back. Fellas like the way I move my waist. A true fluffy pop beef that seems so laughable and juvenile in retrospect. These three albums and eras are the closest to a time machine that you can get for the mid-2000s pop stars. These albums all led to their commercial peak and career-defining work. Gwen and Nelly were noticeably eclectic and transformative with their albums, whereas Fergie dropped the P's and became a bona fide hitmaker in her own right. Love.angel.music.baby was so good that many have argued that her follow-up album, The Sweet Escape, is just a rehash of it. Luz was such a blockbuster album that it gave Nelly Furtado the luxury of stepping away from the spotlight, and despite initial skepticism, it became the staple of her career. The Dutchess was so big that outside of Fergie's work with the Black Eyed Peas, she wouldn't drop a follow-up solo album until 11 years later. As we now stand in a world infatuated with 2000s culture, it should come as no surprise that there have been various trends, remixes, and samples built around the songs from these records that have sustained their popularity and result in consistently viral content.